What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Accelerate Your Life podcast. Today we have a fast fit facts. I literally always have to think about what I named it. I'm like, was it fun fit facts, fast fun facts, fast fit facts episode for you guys today? Before we dive in though, I did just want to say one thing. This is our 31st episode, or my 31st episode. I always say we, our, whatever. I just because like you guys are part of it. It is ours. It is our podcast. But it is our 31st episode. And to be very honest, I have had really no idea if anybody's listening to this. I figure a few clients listen to it. I know my mom listens to it. And I figure there's a couple episodes here and there that might catch people's attention and I'll get a few extra listeners. But truly, I'm like, I don't know if anybody's listened to this, but I'm going to keep up with it. I promised myself I was going to keep doing one a week, no matter what. But recently I have had a handful of you guys message me about an episode, send me an episode saying how helpful it was, how interesting it was, different things. And I just want to say it means so much. Like I have, again, just kept going, even though I had no idea if anybody was listening, but hearing that you guys are and starting to see a few people who are consistently, like it really does mean a lot. So if you are listening and you do ever hear something that you like, that you resonate with, I'm not asking you to just send me compliments, but I'm just saying that it really does like reconfirm for me why I'm doing this. So I do appreciate those. I appreciate all of you guys who are listening. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and dive on into this episode. This is probably going to be a really quick one. Honestly, I thought of this topic because it's an analogy that I've been using a ton on my consultation calls with potential clients lately. And I was like, I think it would just be great to talk a quick 10-minute episode about. We'll see if I actually keep it 10 minutes. You guys know me. But the analogy is just about how your metabolism works and how your metabolism is just like a thermostat. And I hope that once I talk through this, that's really going to stick with you and help you understand more about how the metabolism does work and why you may struggle to see some progress or why you need to do certain things to continue to see progress. This could be a rabbit hole I could go down and down forever, but again, I'm going to try to keep it succinct. But metabolism is a very confusing thing for a lot of people because there's a lot to it. And I think part of the problem is that people kind of misuse the term metabolism. I mean, at this point, I don't think it's really misusing it because we've literally created basically a new definition for it. But a lot of people refer to just their calories burned or the energy that they burn as their metabolism. But the metabolism is much more than that. That's just part of it. What your metabolism is all the things that are going on, all the chemical processes in your body going on in order to maintain life. And so that does include calories burned, calories intake, all of those things, but it also includes so many others. So just understand that, like when you're talking about, oh, my like metabolism slowed down, it's not that it's misusing it. It's just like it's not really slowing down per se. The part of it that's slowing down is the fact that you're just maybe not burning as many calories naturally. But anyway, again, kind of coming back to this analogy that I've been using. So how your metabolism is like a thermostat. Basically, they both work on a feedback loop. So let's talk about how a thermostat works in your house, right? Or your air conditioning system. The way it works is you set it to a certain temperature and then it surveys, okay, what's the current temperature of the house? Is it higher than she set it at? Is it lower than she set it at? It figures that out. And then it's like, well, what do I need to do in order to get to the place they set it? So if your house is 72 degrees and you set the AC, you set the thermostat to 69 degrees, it's like, oh, it's 72. It's higher than she set it at. So what do I need to do in order to get it to that 69? I need to cool it down. I need to produce air and make it colder. So it does. And then once it gets to 69, it gets that feedback that, oh, we're at 69, it's colder, and it turns off the air going out, the coldness, right? Okay, your metabolism is the exact same way. It works on a feedback loop. So let's say that you are setting your calories that you're intaking to 1,500 calories. I'm just throwing out a number. Eventually it's surveying and it's going, okay, so she's giving me 1,500 calories. What do I need to do in order to continue to be able to do all the things that she's doing in order to, like, remember the definition of metabolism, right? All the processes that occur in order to maintain life. It's saying, what do I need to do in order to continue to do all the processes that I need to do in order to maintain her life if I'm getting 1,500 calories input? So it begins to find the places where it can kind of turn things down to be able to maintain all the things it needs to do on 1500. So for example, it's going to maybe slow down digestion a little bit. This is why people can end up getting not, maybe constipated or just not as like IBS, not as good digestion when they're eating lower calories. It's slowing down digestion. Other things too. You're just typically not eating as much like fiber and nutrients and stuff like that. But that's one example. It could slow down digestion, right? Because digestion takes energy, and that's a place where it's like, oh, like I can remove some of the energy that I'm expending so that I can continue to do everything else that's like really necessary and required to live on 1500. Another thing it might do is it's going to begin to waste away a little bit of muscle tissue on your body, because muscle tissue is very expensive, right? It takes a lot of calories to maintain. It's metabolically very active. And so if again, you're giving it now a calorie deficit, you're giving it less calories, it's going to burn away a little bit of that tissue so that it doesn't need as much to maintain. This is also how we do end up losing fat as well, too, because the heavier you are, the more body weight you have, the more energy it takes to maintain. So this is why calorie deficits do end up working and help us lose body fat, right? Is because it's like, well, what can I get rid of to continue to maintain? But I'll kind of get to the point of why we end up hitting a plateau. But these are different, again, things that it is doing to downregulate and turn down your metabolism, just like your thermostat, turns down the temperature to get where you set it. Other things is that you might find that you stop talking with your hands. If you are watching me on YouTube, you know that I talk with my hands a lot. I'm a big hand talker. If you watch me on Instagram, I'm a huge hand talker. I remember when I was in prep for bikini and my calories were super low. If I look back at my stories, I was so not animated because it turned down my natural, like I'm not intentionally doing this. Now I am because I'm talking about it, but like I'm not sitting here thinking about the fact that I'm talking with my hands, but all of a sudden you'll kind of naturally stop doing these things, like talking with your hands, tapping your foot, uh just things that expend extra energy that now you may not have because it's trying to downregulate, right? What are some other things out there? I feel like I'm missing some big things. I mean, just in general, in your like workouts and your exercise, you're probably not going to be as intense. You're not going to have the energy, the output to train as intensely because it's trying to turn it down and meet you where you're at and do the things like live, breathe, chemical processes. And there's some things that are higher on your body's priority list to keep functioning than others. Digestion is going to typically be maybe one of the later things to go because it wants to prioritize that. But something like muscle, it's probably not trying to prioritize that. So this is why people lose muscle fast. You guys know this is an extreme example, but when girls undereat for long periods of time, they lose their menstrual cycle. This is something that it wants to prioritize for as long as it possibly can. And this is why you don't typically see that happen until people get very low and they set their, calories very low. But eventually that's a process that it's going to get away or get rid of because it takes energy to not only literally have a period, go through the whole menstrual cycle, shed, produce an egg, all of that, but it also would take energy to have a baby and grow a baby if you were to get pregnant, that your body's realizing, oh, she set me at 1500 calories or 1400 calories. We don't have that. Let me turn it down. So anyway, I just kind of went on and on there for a bit, but I hope you can kind of see what's happening when people, like eventually what I'm trying to get at is why people end up hitting plateaus is when they're on like a weight loss journey is because your body eventually turns everything down to get to that set point. And now that 1500 calories or wherever you have been like putting it at, it's down regulated. It's turned all the things on a feedback loop to get to the point where now 1500 calories is its maintenance and it's set there, just like you set your house to 69 degrees and now it's 69 degrees and it turns everything else off, right? Now it is at 1500 calories. It can do all the things it needs to do at 1500 calories. So you're not in a deficit anymore. And this is again why people end up hitting a plateau. And I'm emphasizing the aspect of like dieting first, because this is where I think most people will relate to that and understand that. But what you also do need to see is that like, this is why metabolism and the calories that you need on a daily basis is not the same forever and ever. It is not static. Our metabolism is not a static being. As you begin to lose weight, waste away some muscle tissue, lose body fat, you become a smaller human, you do less with your hands, with your energy output, etc. You don't need as many calories. But then on the flip side of things, when you begin to maybe build muscle, right? Or you're putting more energy output, like you're eating more, you're going to upregulate it a little bit too, and you're going to need more energy, and your body's going to adapt to it. And this kind of analogy also shows you why something like reverse dieting can work. And if you haven't heard of reverse dieting, I'll give you a very, very short synopsis. Essentially, it is the opposite of what I just talked about. It's instead slowly beginning to increase your calories. And the reason most people do this is because they're trying to put on lean muscle or they're trying to improve their metabolism. And the reason that it does improve their metabolism, and they're able to do this without really adding much body weight, body fat, etc., because when you do it slowly, your body is again surveying, oh, she's giving me 2,000 calories now. What do I need to do in order to upregulate and get to the point where that's where she's setting me and I can maintain everything that I'm doing at this point. And so the same idea applies where your body doesn't necessarily, unless you're in a place where you need to add body fat to be healthier, like your body doesn't want to just add excess body fat, especially if you're active and giving it the right foods. So it's able to adapt really well. And it's like, well, now she's giving more food. Well, I can talk with my hands more. I can tap my feet more. I have this extra energy to expend. I have more intensity that I can put into my workouts. I can speed up these other processes and do more there. And now you're utilizing all of those 2,000 calories and you don't have excess to where you're adding body fat and weight. So long story short, that's really the analogy that I think it helps people click for people, that your body's always just trying, your metabolism's always just trying to adapt to the set point that you're putting it at. It's on a feedback loop. It takes inventory of where you put it, and it's so freaking smart. It's so freaking smart. It makes adjustments to be able to continue everything it's doing the best it possibly can at that amount. And what sucks for people when they're trying to diet is what that usually means is after a few weeks, you hit a plateau because it is doing what it's exactly what it's supposed to, and it downregulates things so that it can keep doing what it's doing on that low amount. But then on the other side of that, oftentimes unless you're going like crazy surplus, your body's pretty good at handling some extra calories and can make those adjustments to where you don't end up gaining, a ton of weight and all of that when you increase your calories. The problem lies when people are, eat like assholes or having all these refined carbohydrates, don't manage their blood sugar, a lot of poor habits that the standard American diet do have. But all in all, metabolism is really freaking smart, and it is adapting. It is like a thermostat. It is on a feedback loop. And if you can understand that, you can begin to understand how to change things depending on what your goals are, which part of the maybe dieting or like nutrition process that you're in. Just keep it in mind. It's not a static being, and your needs are going to continue to change over time as you change. So I hope that was informative. If you had any questions, like I said at the beginning, please don't hesitate to DM me. I love hearing that you guys are listening to the pod. I'm always happy to continue to talk about this. So let me know if this resonated with you guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, week. See you in the next episode.